Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is another loadout video and you're probably thinking you do not look like you're about to play Airsoft. Well, I got back from work and I thought, you know what, I'm actually wearing a suit already. And one loadout that I've thought about doing is that kind of James Bond loadout. But I actually thought, you know what, I think more of a kind of relevant loadout is actually like your bodyguard loadout. I know you probably wouldn't end up playing that in Airsoft very much, but I do have a couple of replicas. And obviously you kind of see bodyguards a lot of the time wearing a suit. So I was like, hey, if I build out this kind of very basic, this is gonna be a quick video, but a very basic loadout for a bodyguard. Hopefully this would be entertaining for you guys to just kind of like go through and see. Now the premise is obviously a bodyguard, if they are in real life, because obviously this is just LARPing, this is a game. If they're in real life, they're probably trying to keep a low profile. You know, they're trying to wear a suit like everyone around them, blend in. They are not trying to wear full tactical military gear as they would do in the full forces, because they have to be intimidating in a way and people need to know that they're there, but they're not exactly trying to change maybe the environment by, you know, walking in and making it look like a war zone. So with that, I think that the main thing that I realized as I was building this out is that really a loadout for a bodyguard is kind of like the most concealed, the minimal, the better. And so as you can probably see, you look at me right now and you may see something like hanging down here, but generally other than this earpiece, and I've got my camera, my mic on here, other than that, I may look pretty normal. You know, like, okay, wearing a suit. The great thing about a suit jacket is that you can use it to cover stuff up. It's not exactly like wearing a t-shirt. This thing can kind of like play a role of concealing things as well as making you look extra cool, which I'm sure you think that I'm wearing. Sure you think that I'm looking right now. Sunglasses, I think also, I just had these lying around and I can probably take these off the video now, but I thought they actually were pretty cool. Just in that they hide your eyes. You need them for eye protection for Airsoft, but also you can't see where someone is looking if they're wearing dark glasses. So I thought this probably plays up to the bodyguard role kind of a lot more. So what we'll start is with the suits from a company called Charles Tyrwhitt. If you want to sponsor me, Charles Tyrwhitt, that'd be fantastic. Send me some more suits and I will 100% wear them in Airsoft loadout videos. If you send me a load of them, then I can just wear them in all my games. I can basically just go straight from work into playing Airsoft, which for me would be absolutely ideal. But that is Charles Tyrwhitt. This is a TM Lewin shirt. Again, these are kind of like more affordable British brands. So it's not exactly your super expensive, but it's good for everyday wear. This actually is another Charles Tyrwhitt product here. That's a tie. I won't always wear Charles Tyrwhitt suit and tie, but I do think actually as a brand, you know, like I fit suits pretty well. Like I'm very lucky where my body shape is kind of like your average body shape. So I don't need to go to a tailor necessarily and get things kind of measured out. Style of shirt that I always wear, I like a cutaway collar. I like how the collar kind of like is cut away in this way. I don't necessarily like it when it sticks down. I just think it looks cooler. I like a medium-sized tie knot, you know, like not super small, definitely not baggy. I don't like that kind of like big tie knot. I like it kind of quite tight in. And then what I also always wear are these French double cuffs. So instead of having just your little like button here, I'll always have like a double cuff, which is folded over and has a cufflink here. You could probably do some quite cool stuff with that, you know, like put your actual radio in the cufflink. Obviously, again, this is Airsoft. This is going far too far. But if you are a real bodyguard out here and you're watching this video, please do let me know if this is actually along the lines of what your thinking goes like. Obviously, I don't wear a belt with my suits. It's kind of much more of an English style, as if you're wearing a suit, you don't really wear a belt. You know, it's got belt loops, etc., but I don't wear one. And I think that that can be a positive or a negative. If I was wearing a belt, I would definitely have a lot more real estate as I would do with the battle belt to be able to put stuff around, which I think actually is probably quite good. I could put a knife there. I could put a couple more magazines, for instance. I think that would also be pretty good. As I said, it's a Charles Tyrwhitt suit. I always wear red socks. So you can see here, these are red socks that I'm wearing. These are my little kind of shoes right here, my brogues that are from a company called Russell and Bromley. Again, this is a very English brand. So if you're watching this in the US and you're seeing anything I'm wearing, you're like, hey, I'd like to build out that loadout. I'll put a link to, or I'll put a name of everything down below. But unless you live in the UK, it might be quite hard to get these specific things. So as you can probably see, there is something hanging down here. And this is something that I don't think it necessarily every bodyguard needs, but I thought if I'm going to do a bodyguard loadout, then I probably need to be doing this. And that is my VFC MP7. This thing is really cool. It's really powerful. Like, this thing shoots very hot. So I would say that if you're thinking about buying this, definitely think about getting an end pass to put into it, because some of them do come with end passes, some of them don't. Mine did not. I've now put one in here, but it was firing at like 450 FPS. And for a CQB gun, it's definitely not, you definitely don't want it firing that hot. Like in the US, normally it's 400 FPS maximum, and that's for outside 15-foot minimum engagement. So it's a really, really good replica. I have a Tokyo Marui version of this as well. This is actually like real steel in terms of the actual measurements of it, the specifications. The other one that I have, the Tokyo Marui, I actually kind of like it almost a bit more just in the use of it. For one, you don't need to put an end pass in it. It fires at a CQB level. But this thing is actually like real steel dimensions. That was the word I was looking for. So it's a really, really cool replica. You can get, I believe, the old school ones, which have the like folding down front foregrip. I actually probably would go for that over this if I was playing as a bodyguard, just because you kind of can keep it a bit more compact, a little bit smaller as it's kind of like hanging on you, and you don't necessarily need to have this foregrip here. You don't need it anyway, and I think that it actually probably just helps in terms of gameplay if you're actually playing with it. If you're looking at it for a concealed carry kind of situation, you probably don't need that. This actually is a foregrip by PTS. So I don't know the exact model, but I'll put a link to that down below. I could put sights on this, but I actually think, again, when it goes to that like concealed nature, you don't really want anything that's kind of like high up or sitting here. And as a bodyguard, you're probably hoping I don't need to use this. And if I need to use it, I'm using it quickly and probably need the muscle memory on it. So I decided not to put any sights on it. I have put a different stock on this. So this is this exterior kind of like, what is it, a slam stock or whatever. So I literally can just push it out just like that. I think for most of the time, if I'm playing in the bodyguard loadout, I would have that in place. But for instance, if I was walking along, protecting my target, my principal, whoever I'm protecting, then I've probably got this tucked away. Maybe if I'm trying to make it very obvious that this guy is very protected, then I could have it up here and kind of obvious. And then I would only probably deploy this if I was acquiring a target, or, you know, something was happening that I needed to deploy it. Putting this thing back in is definitely not as easy, but I really like, especially for this role, how fast deploy that is. Just straight out and then you're there. It is a little bit wobbly. Like if I was using this in another role, the actual stock on here is a little bit jiggly, but I don't think that really matters for this. Trying to think what else you want to do. There's the bolt release. I'll give you a little fire of what this fire's like so you can have an idea of that. This is the rate of fire. That's running out of gas. But that's the rate of fire that is kind of there. It makes a very cool sound, this replica. It's kind of, again, that like hollow kind of like sound that I really like. Rate of fire is really, really good. And that's probably it on the primary. Oh, in terms of sling, what I've done is I've actually got a piece of paracord here, and I've just hooked it into that sling mount. And then what I've ended up doing is I've put, instead of having like a sling, I'm going to pull out my, this is another one. Okay, so the earphone here, I've actually not got this put into a radio, but what I would probably do is just run a radio and have it kind of like clipped into my belt here. I've got a Baofeng that would be great for that because it's very small and compact. I didn't actually have the clip still on it because I've been using it in a radio pouch, but I would probably just have that Baofeng there and just have it clipped in there, run this straight through, clip that underneath. But I think that's the best form of radio, just being able to hear what people are saying, and then I've got the ability there to talk if I need to, which, you know, again, it's what you see bodyguards wear. That's why I'm doing it. I've got no real experience as a bodyguard, so that would be just something that I think would work well for communications for that. But yeah, as I was saying, with this, what I've done is instead of having my single point sling across my body, I think that's just going to ruin my tie and my look and make it very obvious I'm carrying something. So I actually just have a single point sling, which because it's got my like jacket over the top of it, it just keeps it in place, which is kind of great. But this is, in terms of the manufacture of this, I think this is actually a Magpul. It's a Magpul sling here. And what I've done is I've put one of the, I think it's Blue Force Gear sliding, is it Blue Force Gear on here? Yeah, Blue Force Gear sliding QD release points. So then I could just adjust this. I could actually make this smaller, and I probably would. I would just kind of like clamp that more up under the arm. But I think actually just having that there is kind of awesome for being a bodyguard. So that's the primary all done. Then what I have done is, obviously, I don't think necessarily if you're carrying that you would need a secondary, but I do have a secondary here, which is just tucked into my waistband at the back. That is my USP Compact. Again, I just think this is a very cool looking piece, which, you know, if you're playing a bodyguard build out, then it's probably what you want over everything. It's also very compact, very ergonomic. It's Tokyo Marui, so it's lightweight, like it doesn't weigh much. You know, it's got a plastic slide on it. This thing is super, super snappy. And just really, really comfortable to shoot. So that just slips perfectly in there. Another place actually you could run it on this would just be the suit jacket pocket. I don't like how that pulls down a little bit on that side. You know, if you're running, it's going to swing around, but it does definitely fit in there quite nicely, and it's definitely a faster draw if that's what you're going for. Obviously, though, if I've got my radio kind of pouch, my radio going in there, or that could get in the way, so I decided not to run it there. I have tried to find like actual holsters that will hold this, you know, like a shoulder holster that will hold it. You can kind of try and find some that will kind of like hold it side to your body. Problem is, like, this just does not, it just doesn't sit flat. And so like when I've got it there, it's like sticking out and it's super obvious. Like I wear quite tight fitting suits, and I think that's where the issue could be. Maybe if you're a bodyguard, you don't want to look as cool as me. You may want to just go with something which is a bit more baggy. And I think that obviously works for some people. But I decided that, to be honest, like I can't find anything that's kind of like subtle enough to put it. So for me, it's just having that in the back right there. The other thing that actually I have found, which I think is very cool, unfortunately, again, because this suit is so tight fitting, is one of these. And this is actually an ankle holster. So what it will do is, if I get you to follow me here, let me do this. What it will do is if I'm like, have it down here, it will literally go on my left leg because I'm right-handed. And this is actually for a Glock 26, this one. So I'll show you just quickly. But this will, if I open it up, it'll put my Glock 26 just in there. I can close that up there. And then if I'm having it, what I would do is have it in that location. So obviously my actual trousers on this are just not baggy enough. You can see here, it's just not going to fit over the edge of it. And this, I don't think is going to be a quick deploy. Like it's not going to be that fast. But if you are just wearing like larger trousers or whatever, I actually think this is pretty cool. I actually got this idea from the TV show Tulsa King. It's got old Sylvester Stallone in it. It's a pretty awesome show if you haven't watched it, but basically saw one of the characters going through an airport, forgetting that he actually had it on and it was under his suit, you know, in this format. And actually this is built for real steel. And I'll put an Amazon link to it below, but that I just thought was just a really, really cool way to mount your pistol where no one's really looking in that area. So I just thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, guys, I think that probably, it's a very short one. You're like, how much stuff was actually in here? Not very much. That's probably the kind of like the full amount of the actual gear that I'm going to be putting out in my bodyguard loadout. I decided not to go for any extra mags. Again, I could just kind of put a quick deploy, like little mag pouch down there, you know, like with a couple of pistol mags in it. These mags are a bit bulky and they're quite hard to, I mean, not like an AR, but they are quite hard to put places, and this on the VFC are very, very heavy. So, you know, I could just stick a couple of extra here, but I think if you are in the bodyguard situation, you're probably not trying to pack a load of ammo. You know, you need some ammo with you, but it's going to be not like you're wearing a plate carrier with a ton of mags in it. You're not going to be deployed into a battle situation. So with this setup, I decided just to kind of go with the mags that are in the replicas and nothing else. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been a bit silly, but also a bit fun. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Turn on that bell. I never asked for that, but apparently that's really good for the channel. So if you turn on the bell, that'd be great. And if you want to be a member, we've got tons and tons of giveaways coming up, so that would also be amazing. And I will see you very soon on the next video. Goodbye.